Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. My name is Spencer Walsh. We've got a great show for you today. Talking, Saudi Arabia. Crazy stuff going on there. Also, we're talking about upcoming presidential investigations, they're rising in tension at the moment. And a very restrictive abortion law blocked late last night by the Supreme Court. That's on the show. So let's just do it. Let's just do it, folks. All right, we're going to get right into it, and we start, of course, from the courts, as you know. So the Chief Justice John Roberts from the Washington Post reporting joined with the Supreme Court's liberals Thursday night to block a Louisiana law that opponents say would close most of the state's abortion clinics and leave it with one doctor eligible to perform the procedure. Yeah, so pretty much making abortion literally all but illegal in the state in name only. It's only legal at this point in name only. Abortion's legal. You can do it at one abortion clinic in the state and have it performed by one doctor. The justices may yet consider whether the 2014 law requiring doctors at abortion clinics to have admitting privileges at nearby hospitals unduly burdens a woman's access to abortion. The Louisiana law has never really been enforced in the Supreme Court in 2016. Found a nearly identical Texas law to be unconstitutional. This is, again, according to Washington Post's Robert Barnes. So, here's another key quote. The Supreme Court has stepped under the wire to protect the rights of Louisiana women, says Nancy Northup, the CEO of the president and CEO of the Center for Reproductive Rights, which represented the law's challengers. 3 clinics left in Louisiana can stay open while we ask the Supreme Court to hear our case. This should be an easy case, and that's needed. All that's needed is a straightforward application of the court's own precedent. So hopefully now there will be more than 3 after a restriction was blocked, preventing them from being 1. A lot of these places, the reality is that people don't understand abortion is pretty much essentially illegal in these red states. It's impossible for someone to get an abortion in these areas if they really need to. It just becomes pretty desperate. So, and the fact that, again, Supreme Court has upheld this legal decision. It has not stopped the Republicans from pretty much doing everything they can to get around it. And guess who, by the way, wrote a dissent? Justice Kavanaugh. What the heck? That's pretty crazy. Who would have seen that coming? All right, everyone. So New York Times reports that in recent days there has been a flurry of new state legislation that could prove important if the nation's highest court rules on more abortion-related cases. In some states, lawmakers have sought to pass laws that would ban or severely restrict abortion in the event that Roe v. Wade is eventually overturned or effectively gutted. So they're waiting. They're on tenterhooks for this because they know that Brett Kavanaugh being put in there, and especially if RBG dies, and that could be pretty bad if Trump gets to put in her replacement. Then that's how we know abortion is effectively dead, because John Roberts stepping in there as he did this time, it won't matter. It just won't matter because there's always going to be another vote, which is going to be RGB's replacement. RBG, sorry, not RGB. But the thing is, that is definitely a legitimate possibility that this could happen. No one should be feeling very safe about that, because until at least a Democratic president gets in there, it's going to be on pins and needles for the possibility of rights about abortion, about immigration coming up, I believe, and also about business regulations, environmental regulations. It's all going to be very, very much put to the test over these next 2 years. All right, New York Times' Mark Mazzetti broke an important story about the murdered Post contributing columnist Jamal Khashoggi. According to current and former U.S. foreign officials with direct knowledge of the intelligence reports, Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman told an aide in 2017 that he would use a bullet on Khashoggi if he did not return home and stop criticizing the Saudi government. If they were unable to lure the journalist back to the kingdom, then he should be returned by force, Prince Mohammed told an aide in the conversation. Quote from his ad here, the conversation intercepted by American intelligence agencies is the most detailed evidence to date that the Crown Prince considered killing Khashoggi long before a team of Saudi operatives strangled him inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul and dismembered his body using a bone saw. Mr. Khashoggi's murder prompted weeks of outrage around the world among both parties in Washington, where senior lawmakers called for an investigation into who could be responsible. All right, yeah. This, again, does come ahead of today's deadline for Trump administration to announce whether they will oppose additional sanctions on MBS. By the way, we still sell arms to them. We still make money off of them, and we still make money pretty much off of a murderous regime. It's murderous in Yemen. It's murderous of our American journalist, Khashoggi. And you may feel like, oh, this feels like we're just letting the bully get away, as I said last night on Newsflash. But, again, you have to remember, there are people profiting off of letting the bully get away with it. That's the important thing to realize. There are people profiting. There are people lining their pockets as we continue to support this awful regime in Saudi Arabia. All right. Yeah, just hopefully everyone realizes that. Right now, in the investigation side of things, there's unlimited presidential harassment coming right up, folks. That's a quote from Trump, though. Unlimited presidential harassment. It's not fair, he says. The new Democratic House majority is making up for lost time, much to the nightmare of everyone trying to keep their head on straight, but especially to the chagrin of the president, Post reports. Although his issues with oversight responsibilities are for different reasons, it's not the same. We're not freaking out about it. I personally don't have any issues. I say let the oversight begin, is what I like to say. But it is going to be very crazy to follow it all, because there's like about 6 different committees going on at once. Yeah. One of the main pillars of the investigation, as you may know, is the tax returns. Jeff Stein reports that the House Democrats commenced hearings yesterday to devise a plan to force Trump to release his tax returns. Lawmakers did not take action, but worked to lay the groundwork for a potential request, with lawmakers expected to ask about their authority to request the records. Saying we have to be, Nancy Pelosi said, we have to be very careful as we go forward in terms of the tax issue. It's a question of not just sending a letter. You'll have to do it in a very careful way, and the chairman of the committee will be looking into doing that. And again, I really don't think the overreaching and the questioning of the tax returns is going to be a thing that should be considered by anyone as overreach, because, I mean, again, it should be really no problem to release the tax returns in the first place if you have nothing to hide. It's not a big thing. Literally every other presidential candidate has done it. It's just that simple. Every other presidential candidate in human history, no, not human history, but like modern era, has done it. So the fact that they don't see the need is, again, and the fact that the Democrats are forcing them to should just not, it just shouldn't be a problem. You should be able to get it done. It's just that simple. Yeah. So administration sources told Politico's Nancy Cook that the Treasury Department is writing plans to drag the expected Democratic request for Trump's tax filings, which he has closely guarded, into a quagmire of arcane legal arguments. So they're going to go all out to try and protect the boss. So that is going to be another fascinating back and forth dynamic to watch. All right. Washington Post reporting that House Intelligence Chair Adam Schiff was the main target of Trump's Twitter tirade yesterday, where the president referred to the news that Schiff's committee has hired at least one former White House national security aide. Although none of the staff has, this is again from an aide at the House Intelligence Committee, although none of our staff has come directly from the White House, we've hired people with prior experience on the National Security Council staff for oversight of the agencies, and will continue to do so at our discretion. So yeah, that's he's just like, yeah, we're gonna hire people from the National Security Council. Steve, do you like it? Do you like it? Yes, definitely a little bit of a shade at the president, who do not discriminate against potential hires on the basis of their prior work experience, including the administration, said the aide. So yeah, a little bit shade from the National Security Council. And speaking of which, Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker has agreed to testify publicly today before the House Judiciary Committee at 9:30 a.m. So that's what's going to be happening there today. So it's been after a heated back and forth with House Democrats. New York Times explains Acting Attorney General Matt G. Whitaker told lawmakers late Thursday that he's going to be testifying, having received assurances that they would not issue a subpoena for his testimony. So earlier in the day, the Justice Department sent the committee a letter demanding a commitment in writing that any subpoena would not be used during the hearing, a promise that the committee chairman, Representative Jerry Nadler, would not give. But after negotiations that began early in the evening, the committee agreed not to issue subpoena on or during February 8th. February 8th, according to Justice Department spokeswoman Carrie Kupek. So they can't do it at any time today. In light of that commitment, Acting Attorney General Whitaker looks forward to appearing at tomorrow's hearing and discussing the great work of the Department of Justice. So yeah, there's that. The latest turn in the political drama all started Thursday morning. New York Times further explains when the committee voted to give its chairman, Mr. Nadler, the authority to subpoena Mr. Whitaker if he did not answer questions during the hearing or if he chose not to show up. So that really hyped people up. Democrats also wanted to ask Whitaker about matters related to the Russia investigation led by Special Counsel Robert Mueller and whether Trump replaced Attorney General Jeff Sessions with Whitaker in order to interfere with that inquiry, as some consider Whitaker's appointment to be illegitimate. So, yeah, some Democrats especially. So that's going to be another little bit of a dynamic to watch in the future. What could be happening there. All right. That seems to, have we covered that? But, all right, one more thing. This is a little bit of palace intrigue story before we go. As Jeff Bezos, New York Times explains, Amazon's chief executive and world's richest man, said on Thursday the owner of the National Enquirer had tried extortion and blackmail to stop him from investigating how material exposing extramarital affair was leaked to the tabloid. I do apologize. Last night I spoke unclearly. He's using the Washington Post to investigate the National Enquirer. That's what I said. I do apologize. I meant that he was using private investigators, actually, to really dig in to how he possibly got that extramarital affair stuff. Because, as we got from last night, Glenn Bradford last night, it was a very interesting situation. They could have ties to the Trump administration. From Rachel Maddow, she disclosed that the non-prosecution agreement AMI reached with federal prosecutors during the Trump election finance felonies can be terminated if AMI breaks the law in any of the next 3 years. Jeff Bezos is investigating whether they broke the law in getting the info about his extramarital affairs, so they're threatening him to stop so they don't get opened up. They don't get opened up to prosecution. Their butts are pretty covered right now. But if Bezos keeps investigating them, they won't be if he finds out that he broke the law. And so what do they try to do? Extort him with disgusting sounding news, as we read on the show last night. So that pretty much sums it. So pretty obvious quote there from Jeff Bezos. If I can't stand up for if in my position I can't stand up to this kind of extortion, then how many people can? Got a point there. Should probably be standing up to this. All right, so before we go, just quickly, Virginia's political turmoil has now widened to include a Republican member of Congress. State Senate top Republican faced questions on Thursday about racist photographs and slurs in a college yearbook that he helped oversee. Thomas Norman, New York Times explains, pointed out that he did not take or appear in any of the images of the students in blackface in the 1968 yearbook. Just let him appear in the yearbook. So that's the whole thing. So kind of an admission of support. Separately, though, several prominent Democrats called for an investigation into a woman's accusation that Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax had sexually assaulted her in 2004. So, yeah, obviously, I think at this point you got to have a real investigation of that. So, yeah, Virginia really not coming down anytime soon, frankly. All right, so that seems to be about it. Enjoy your weekend, everyone, and we will see you back on Monday. Be sure to check out For the Win and a new news flash over the weekend.